It's undeniable that Façade has captured the attention of both gamers and scientists alike. Released in 2005, this game was revolutionary, especially during a time when AI was still in its infancy. It allowed players to interact freely with characters, contributing to a larger in-game story with multiple possible story plots and endings. Surprisingly, no game quite like it has been created since then, despite the rapid advances in artificial intelligence across various sectors, including healthcare, finance, business, and social media. But aside from these advanced technological feats the game has achieved, I'm left wondering something else. What can Façade teach us about marriage? Façade, an AI-based interactive drama developed by Mateas and Andrew Stern, puts you, the player, in the shoes of a friend invited to the apartment of a troubled married couple, Trip and Grace. They ask you to celebrate the 10th anniversary of your introduction to them. However, their marriage is far from harmonious, and it's up to you as the player to make a difference. This video will contain spoilers, so if you haven't watched the gameplay yet, be sure to check it out on my channel where I covered all the endings. Gameplay is only 20 minutes, so you can even download it and play it yourself if you'd like. It's free on the developer's website. If you enjoy this content, remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more. So, sit back, get cozy, and join me as we explore Façade's psychological horror at midnight.
Hey, it's Trip. It's wow. It's been a while since we all but why don't you come over tonight? Grace and I we'd love to see you. Yeah. So just stop by tonight around 8 or so. It'll be great. Yeah. So I really hope you can make it. See you then.
Kelly!
As I mentioned earlier, Trip and Grace have severe marital problems, and you play a pivotal role in how their story unfolds. Depending on how you interact with them, you could achieve different endings, from saving their marriage to witnessing its destruction. The game offers multiple outcomes, and it's worth noting that many YouTubers tend to explore the humorous aspects, which often result in premature story endings. The developers intended the game to be replayed due to its diverse story arcs, making it challenging to follow a linear narrative. So I'll explain the sequence mechanics and then delve into each character's details, including your role as the player. The initial scene always involves Trip welcoming you at the door and fetching Grace. Various discussion events can occur, and your responses can affect the tension levels. The game culminates in a climactic moment where Trip and Grace may reveal insecurities, tendencies, and dark secrets to each other, leading to the ending sequence. Let's focus on Grace first. The game suggests that Grace comes from a wealthy family that shaped her life significantly. She doubts herself and her abilities, particularly her dream of becoming an artist. This self-doubt stems from her over-reliance on others, driven by her upbringing. Instead of embracing her artistic aspirations, she settles for advertising. Her insecurities lead her to blame others, primarily Trip, for her unfulfilled dreams. She struggles to take ownership of her choices and tends to shift blame onto others. This behavior is evident in various instances, including her dark secret, which I'll touch on shortly. There are two other instances worth mentioning, both concerning their vacations. During one early discussion, Trip proudly displays a framed picture of their romantic Italy trip. Grace, however, expresses disgust, revealing her desire to attend an art exhibit presented by a friend, but feeling compelled to go on the Italy trip instead. The second occasion involves Grace mentioning that her parents and Trip consistently plan lavish vacations, which she secretly dislikes as she believes they're merely for show. It remains unclear whether Grace communicated her reservations during the vacation planning or silently complied with the plans she didn't genuinely want to partake in. Another noteworthy moment is when Trip recounts his proposal to Grace, an elaborate romantic gesture in front of her parents during the holidays. While Grace clearly accepted, she later confessed to feeling pressure to say yes due to the proposal's public nature. This pressure ties into her dark secret, which I'll reveal now. Grace discloses that on the night before the proposal, she had an intimate encounter with a fellow art student named Vince. She believes this incident brought bad luck to their marriage, and she never shared this with Trip. Notably, there's some speculation about whether Vince is the same unnamed artist friend whose art exhibit Grace missed due to the Italy vacation, but that's not confirmed. Turning our attention back to Grace, her interactions in the game suggest that she leans towards an external locus of control. In the realm of psychology, your locus of control defines how you perceive yourself in relation to the external world. An internal locus of control reflects the belief that you have the power to shape your own destiny through your choices. Conversely, an external locus of control means you perceive external factors as the primary determinants of your outcomes. So it's only when Grace acknowledges her insecurities that she she recognizes her role in her decision not to pursue a career as an artist. Instead, she tends to attribute her unfulfilled desires to Trip, using him as a scapegoat. But now that we're on the subject, let's talk about Trip. In a stark departure from Grace's background, Trip's early years were defined by financial adversity. As a child, he spent 6 months in a shelter, a fact that Grace remained oblivious to until he disclosed it during the gameplay. There's another moment in the game where Grace unexpectedly brings up Trip's college years as a bartender, a revelation that catches Trip off guard. This fact was likely something he had hoped to conceal from her. It's possible that his bartending job played a pivotal role in financing his college education, which, given his family's backstory, may have been a reminder of his past circumstances. This shows that Trip's poor upbringing appears to be the source of his deep-seated insecurities, leading to feelings of shame and embarrassment about his past. This insecurity permeates various aspects of his personality, which he can admit during the confession phase of the game. Because of his fear of returning to poverty or losing control, Trip exhibits controlling and manipulative behaviors. When Grace expressed her desire to pursue a career as an artist during their college years, Trip actively discouraged her and steered her towards advertising, a profession he viewed as more respectable and financially stable. Trip's admiration for Grace's parents, who epitomize his aspiration for a luxurious, materialistic lifestyle, is another manifestation of his insecurities. He is drawn to activities that he associates with wealth, such as mixing drinks, acquiring knowledge about Europe, and indulging in extravagant vacations. As for his dark secret, he confesses to having had an affair with a client from Barcelona. He acknowledges that his actions stemmed from a sense of loneliness, but emphasizes that he ultimately terminated the affair. The communication breakdown and the shame that have festered between both Trip and Grace over the span of a decade contribute to the tension experienced by the player when visiting the troubled couple. So, what does that leave the player to do? Who is the player in relation to Grace and Trip? When it comes to the player's background, little is provided beyond the fact that they introduced Grace and Trip during their college days, ultimately leading to the couple's marriage. Nevertheless, the player's personal history seems inconsequential. What truly matters is how they mediate the couple's conflicts during their visit. To achieve the good ending, the key is to guide Grace and Trip towards self-awareness. By encouraging one person to confess to a single transgression and the other to acknowledge two of them, a moment of epiphany is reached, and the couple expresses their gratitude for helping them reconcile. Any deviation from this path leads to their downfall, which brings us back to the initial question: what lessons can Façade offer about marriage? We often hear that marriage requires compromise and a commitment to not going to bed angry. However, marital commitment entails so much more than these cliches. Being married signifies celebrating and acknowledging both the individual and the union. Grace and Trip don't necessarily have to resolve every aspect of their personalities before tying the knot, but open communication about their desires, vulnerabilities, and perceived tendencies could have fostered a stronger foundation for intimacy. Maybe, from the very beginning of their relationship, Grace and Trip let each other down. Consider how much more robust their relationship might have been if they had been more forthcoming about their insecurities prior to marriage. Would Trip have been more receptive to Grace's artistic aspirations had he candidly expressed his financial concerns, or if she had openly communicated her desire and reservations about pursuing art? Could they have found a compromise that ensured financial security while granting the freedom to pursue their passions, whether in the creative arts or European travels? I'm no relationship expert, so this is all personal opinion. Please let me know in the comments what you think. But I believe that Trip and Grace's marriage is not beyond redemption. But I also don't believe that the relationship was fully restored once the player left the apartment after the good ending. I think the good ending is just the start of a challenging but potentially rewarding journey for the couple. The real work begins when they are both willing to be vulnerable and truthful with each other, followed by a shared commitment to actively work on their marriage to achieve restoration. The crucial aspect isn't the compatibility of Trip and Grace, but their willingness to commit to each other. Seeking the guidance of a marriage counselor or confiding in trusted friends and family can provide a better perspective on their situation and help determine the best way forward. This doesn't mean they should simply forgive and forget, as there may be consequences such as trust issues stemming from their past mistakes. Instead, it leads to gaining a deeper understanding, admitting faults, genuine remorse, and a shared desire to nurture the marriage. Façade is so simple in its premise, and yet so complex with its incorporation of AI characters representing complex human psychology and relationships. It's no surprise that even after so many years, there's still so much support from the community, as well as a demand for another installment. I join the ranks of other fans who hope that Michael Mateas and Andrew Stern will get together once again and create another game like it, but until then, I'll continue to enjoy the melon memes.
Okay.
Oh
Ryan,
no.
I think this evening is over. You've got to leave.
All I said was melon.
You'll be fine. Just go.
But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. If there's anything you feel I've missed from a psychological analysis perspective, please let me know in the comments below. I'm interested to hear your take on the subject. I'm also open to hear any suggestions you have for next games I should cover. Otherwise, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you in the next game.